So Jason,
Mm.
when you get to our level, number 12 comedy podcast in Algeria,
Oh, yeah.
it comes with a level of scrutiny. It comes with a level like your personal life, your private life. It stops being personal.
Mhm.
It stops being
Sure.
private. So I want to address
Absolutely.
some rumors about me, about what's
Mhm.
going on in my life, and I want to address them right now because,
Mhm.
yes, the rumors are true. I had a great time at Squonkapalooza in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Thank you so
Mhm.
much to the fine
Mhm.
people, the
Yeah.
Rust Belt. It was such a wonderful
Mhm.
festival. We met so many great people. So everything, super incredible.
Yeah.
Unrelated, I am getting divorced and moving to New York City.
hmm Yeah. No, Squonkapalooza was a really good time. Yeah, and I'm glad that we had a chance to go. What? No.
Yeah, no, listen, guys. I'm just gonna be upfront. I mean, obviously, dropping the mask for a minute. If there are plenty of people listening to this show who know me in real life, who know more about like my situation. If whatever I've talked to you about, I've talked to you about. If you listen to the podcast, you are not hearing the full story, and I'm not going to say, anything too personal. What I will say is this: people ask, do you have regrets? Do you have regrets? And I have one regret. Me and my ex-wife, we were together for 9 years. I was 19 when we got together. It was 2015, the Obama administration.
Mhm.
I didn't like the
Yeah.
tan suit, but I loved the drone strikes.
Mhm.
And here's my regret. I think I missed my peak cocaine years.
Mm. Mhm.
Because when we were together, right?
Yeah.
When we were together, there were so many times I could have done cocaine, and it was always like, no, don't do it now. We're about to go meet my dad. No, don't do it now. We're visiting my mom in the hospital.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah.
don't do it now. You're driving. But you
Right.
know what?
Right. You're
Now
performing surgery. Yeah.
I know. And granted, yeah, I shouldn't have been doing that, let alone on a fucking raccoon or whatever the fuck. But,
Nah.
they let anyone in vet school. But
Right.
what I will say is like you get out, right? You go through all that. It's like, no, I'm not going to do cocaine. I'm a good partner.
Mhm.
You get out, all the cocaine has fent in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we both that ship has sailed for both of us. I've never tried cocaine, so I don't know. Is
Good.
it? I imagine it might be easy to get in the part where you used to live. I mean, now you're in
Now it all has
NYC, so
fentanyl
you
in it, though.
can
That's the
get
problem.
damn
All
near
the
whatever.
coke has
Right.
fentanyl in it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
because,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm. Yeah. Not worth the risk.
I stick to good old fashioned meth.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Just pure natural meth
Yeah.
made
Or
with
the
spring water.
wholesome legal version. Definitely not pounded too much Adderall at Squonkapalooza. Definitely not squirreling it away all week, being like, I'm only going to take half my ADD medication this week at work. And I've never done that. Anyone who knows me in real life listening, this is a joke. I would never do this. Man.
No.
Anyway, like I said, I'm moving to New
Yeah.
York. And
Yep.
speaking of which, I got to introduce the show. In
Oh
New
yeah.
York, one thing people talk about New York is obviously, there's plenty of good times, but as many good times as there were in New York City, there was also 9/11.
Yeah.
And people say never forget, but they don't do anything about that. Well, this
Right.
man has spent the last 6 months every single day after work screaming at people in nursing homes who have had the fucking
Mhm.
audacity to forget about it.
Yeah,
His name is
exactly. Yep.
Jason Strong, the Eric Adams of
Mhm.
Denver, Colorado.
Yeah. Thank you. It is a thankless job. Those Alzheimer people, man, I swear to God, it's like every 5 minutes I have to remind them. No, the Twin Towers are gone, Cecilia.
Man,
Yeah.
the thing is, I don't want a Monday morning quarterback that, right?
Okay.
Because at this point, I don't think my 9/11 prevention advice is that useful. However,
Sure.
I think that I wouldn't have had Twin Towers and I wouldn't have named them the Twin Towers. Because if there was just one tower for them to fly into, and you could have still had the same number of offices in the opposite tower, but it would have just looked slightly different or maybe been a little to the left or a little to the right or something, right? Like,
Right.
you would have saved countless lives. Is this
Right.
controversial?
Yeah.
Am I like coming off as an asshole here?
I mean, a little bit. But it does sort of make sense that, yeah, like if they were identified as two separate buildings, who knows how the past would have unfolded, instead of them being sort of identified as a unit, like you said, the Twin Towers. It's not like there's one building here, one building there.
And
I don't
then,
know.
because we normally talk about the weird, wacky, and wild news of the week. So
Yes.
after I say
Yeah.
this, I am going to stop making 9/11 jokes because
Yes.
that's not
Thank
of
you.
this week.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason. But
Yeah.
when I realized that our country had moved on from 9/11?
What's that?
When they put out that Twix commercial with the left Twix factory and the right Twix factory, and they were separate buildings, and they looked the same. I was like, we've really healed,
Right.
Because it used to be you
healed,
couldn't even play Jump by Van Halen.
No. I never
This
thought
is the
about
type
it.
of thing that I'm glad I took a month-long mental health break to come up with.
Come back. Yeah. Come back to your spiciest 9/11 material. All right. Let's get into
so guys, real quick, as you guys might be aware, you're catching me at a bit of a weird time in my life. So Jason's going to go ahead and do something a bit different with the format. He's going to be reading all our stories. He's picked the orders. I am going in totally fucking blind, the Stevie Wonder of podcasting.
Okay, well, I don't know how I feel. Yeah, this first story comes to us from the AP by Ed White. I guess continue our theme of tragedy. Marathon swimmer says he quit Lake Michigan swim after going in wrong direction with dead GPS.
Can I ask a stupid question?
I wish you would.
Lakes are circles, right?
Well, they're like a defined area. Yeah.
Yeah, but most lakes are round. What's the shape of Lake? What's the approximate shape of Lake Michigan? I have no way of finding this out.
Yeah, man, you're really calling me out. They're vaguely I think they're sort of long and narrowish.
I'm gonna Google Lake Michigan shape. I think that a non-divorced guy has never searched Lake Michigan shape. You either got to be an 8-year-old or a divorced man.
It is.
No, you're right.
It
it's
is
like,
very. It
looks like Florida.
It does. It looks like Florida, but yeah,
It looks like Florida, but flaccid.
Yeah. Yes. Right.
More flaccid. Yeah, so I guess it would be hard to just kind of turn around. Okay, I guess continue. I guess, I've never done a marathon swim.
No, nor I.
They said I'm not eligible.
No.
No, on account of the gold medals from the Olympics.
Oh, I thought it was account of all the growth hormone.
Well, yeah, that too. It didn't work.
No. A man attempting an epic 80-mile swim across Lake Michigan said he gave up on the third day after losing 2 batteries for a critical GPS device and ending up badly off course.
Can I ask a stupid question? What do you do in the middle between the date? Because you can't sleep while treading water. Do you back float? Do you just back float and hope for the best? Because that's not how that works.
No, I think you're awake for however long it takes you to swim from one side to the other.
Like I said, I genuinely think this happened because all the cocaine has fent in it.
Yeah. Jim Dreyer, 60. The man's 60.
And man, my dad, basically my dad's age. 4 years older.
Yeah. Do you think your dad could swim across Lake Michigan?
I think my dad is he is the most physically fit man in his late 50s I've probably ever seen. I think he wouldn't swim across Lake Michigan. Could he? I think that if he had to save his family by swimming across Lake Michigan somehow. But I think in that scenario, he's fucked for other reasons.
Right.
I don't think he has it.
No.
He's a great father, but I don't think in an apocalypse scenario, I think that if my dad had to hold a gun to the eyes of a raider in like, a Fallout scenario or something like that. I think he would threaten him. I think he'd shoot the air. I think he'd fight a guy, but I think that he would not be able to. I don't think he'd be able to do what needs to be done. Me, on the other hand, I could do it. That's why ideally, Dad, I know you listen to the show. Family apocalypse plan. I think I need to be the actual like behind the scenes leader, Wizard of Oz style, right? You're still the leader up front. You're the face of the operation. You're the muscle. But I'm calling the shots. So you remove moral culpability as I rebuild our empire on a wave of corpses.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
That's so sweet. What a nice relationship you have with your father.
I wish you would kill, father.
Dryer 60 was pulled from the water last Thursday after 60 miles. He said he'd been swimming from Michigan to Wisconsin for hours without a GPS, relying on wrist compass and his reading of the sky and waves. So he's going.
So here's the first problem. He said his reading of the sky and waves.
Yeah.
And this is I'm not a water expert. So I'm not a waterographer. Forgive me if I'm wrong. So this was in Lake Michigan, in a lake.
Yes. The Great Lakes, though, are
waves.
No, the Great Lakes are, in all seriousness, the Great Lakes are like known for being like extremely rough and dangerous. Like the song "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald." I don't know if you're like,
yeah, I think I know that song. Let me go ahead and do it now.
Okay, yeah.
Yo, I'm Eddie F, and I'm here to say I like to get wrecked every day. Doing drugs, it'll make you cool. Kids don't say sober. That's for fools. It was a very controversial song. It was kind of like, because they had the fairness doctrine on the radio, they had to both sides the just say no doctrine of the Reagan administration.
With the just say yes.
Yeah, I don't know what that has to do with the Great Lakes.
Yeah. No, anyway, there's like, famously, like, shipwrecks have happened. Because that used to be, maybe still is, like, a way to get now we're talking about like shipping logistics, but to get like from the Atlantic Ocean inland a little bit, like to the Rust Belt, they would go through the Great Lakes, and the Great Lakes could be, they can be dangerous.
You just fly Spirit.
But I don't know, Lake Michigan specifically is dangerous. But either
way, I might be wrong about the presence of waves in lakes. This is genuinely new information to me. This is my second tequila of the night, so otherwise I'd be more shocked. However, I will say it seems like this guy couldn't read the waves.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe he overestimated his ability. Although, to be fair, he is swimming, and he was swimming for what did I say, 3 days?
But here's the thing, to be fair, but counter argument to that, like, he chose to do that. Nobody made him do that. He was not being paid to do that.
Well, presumably, yeah. But no, he didn't find himself in the situation where he was like, shit, I'm in Michigan and I got to get to Wisconsin, and I have to be in Wisconsin in 4 days soaking wet. What's the best way to do this?
Yeah.
But
soaking wet in Wisconsin.
Exactly. Man.
Need a hot dairy farmer.
It's dripping, moist. A sport boat pulled up and informed him that he'd been swimming north all day, the wrong direction. Yeah.
I like how they said that, because they've been following him all day. Yes. Like, I know it just means that you've been swimming this way all day, right? But I'm picturing them following this guy all fucking day, and then them.
I know. I was too when I read this. I thought, like, what the fuck? What else is the boat for?
You said, like,
how long did they? A support boat. Someone following him to make sure he's
Wait, he had a
has what he
support boat the
needs,
whole
and
time, though?
right, and
I
they just
know.
let
So,
him
okay,
go.
this is like, wait, so this was like his support boat. This wasn't like
Yeah,
there's this guy we think it might be lost.
who
He was
just
supposed to be here by now.
yeah, just like a completely random support boat that he
No, I'm
no,
saying like
bro,
this wasn't like the
yeah,
Coast
he had a
Guard got
guy.
sent after him or
No,
whatever the lake version of the Coast Guard is.
I think it's still the Coast Guard.
Is it? I
I
don't
think it's
think they
still
have
Coast.
that you think the Coast Guard? I'm sorry. I'm divorced,
Hmm.
which makes me a libertarian now. You
You're
think the
right.
Coast Guard is gonna fucking take my guns from my hands because I am using them in a lake just to shoot them with my 7-year-old son because we are hunting for possible mermen. We want to hunt the mermen because just like mermaids fuck sailors, a merman fucks your wife. I guess I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah,
Never mind. Mermen carry on.
I know. Yeah, yeah, good for them. What a blow, he said in a report posted online. I should have been in the home stretch, well into Wisconsin waters with about 23 miles to go. Instead, I had 47 to go, and the weather window would close soon.
All right.
Dryer said,
It's
yeah.
never a shame to not be in Wisconsin. Sorry to say it.
Huh.
Unless you're Hillary Clinton in 2016, it is not a shame to
You're
not
right.
be in Wisconsin.
That'd be in Wisconsin. Yeah.
The rest of us are good.
Yeah. Dryer said his brain was mush and he was having hallucinations about a steel wall.
I
Stuck
mean,
my
I've
hand
done
right
that.
through it.
That's just me
Yeah.
on a normal work day.
Right. Oh, yeah, here you go. It said the forecast had 9-foot waves.
Oh.
So I mean, good on him for getting the fuck out of the lake, right?
Well,
Like,
no,
yeah, dude,
again,
you would
not
have
good on
died.
him for getting the fuck out of the lake because he got the fuck in the lake. You don't get the fuck in the lake, and then it's good for you for getting the fuck out of the lake when you shouldn't have just gotten the fuck in the lake. That's why
Well,
you'll never catch
I
me
mean, at least
outside.
no, just cowering indoors in a corner. Um,
Hell yeah.
no, he no, at least he had the common sense to like, man, this sucks. I'm done. Like, 'cause that's how people die. Here in Colorado, people die like every year trying, I'm going to climb this mountain, but I'm really tired or I broke my leg or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
and the
you
real
need to
answer
say like,
is, yeah, and that's
I'm
why,
out.
like, if you're
Yeah.
listening, you should go and climb those mountains to show people
Mm-hmm.
how to do it properly. And then
Right.
these deaths could be
Mm-hmm.
avoided because it's like you're what
Right.
Colorado has been missing.
Yes. Yeah. Especially if you're from like the East Coast or the Midwest, somewhere
Specifically, like if I'm moving to New York
lower
City.
country.
I'm moving to New
Yeah.
York City because if you've
Mhm.
done like a nature walk in Central Park, I think you
Oh,
can handle it
absolutely.
at any intense mountain, right?
No,
If
completely.
you're like
Right.
my family
Mm-hmm.
and we go on hikes and the hikes are like paved,
Mm-hmm.
that's like
No, you're
if you
perfect.
only
Yeah.
do hikes that you can do mushrooms on, please
Mm-hmm.
go to Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Anyway, Dryer's. We're reaching the end here. His nickname is the Shark. He actually crossed it in '98, starting in Wisconsin and ending in Michigan. He's tried 3 more times to do it, unsuccessfully. He was towing an
Yeah,
inflatable
he's not in
boat.
his physical prime anymore. Like I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, right?
No, no,
But it's only going to get more difficult year after year.
of course. Well, and here's the problem. He's towing a boat, where he carries his food and supplies. He went to he'd get batteries out of the boat to replace them in his GPS and then dropped them in the lake. So, that kind of doomed
You
his
know what's funny? I didn't even notice
expedition
this
there.
at
Yeah.
first. And this is how stupid this story is. The guy's name is Dryer. That's funny.
Oh yeah, a
We
little
didn't even
bit.
say anything about that. This is funny. His name's Dryer, but he's very wet.
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, that's true. That is funny.
Aren't you glad we're back?
Well, he's dry now. He couldn't even swim his ass across Lake Michigan. Come on.
Yeah, for
And
real.
he was doing it. He was attempting it the narrow way, like east to west. Man, if he was a real G, wouldn't he be going like south to north?
Yeah,
Like
no,
swim
that's
it
a good point,
lengthwise,
actually.
man.
Yeah, like that's like 80 miles.
No,
It could be like what, like I don't know how long
Man,
is it, the other way,
400.
500,000 miles, right? Like something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. And that's why, again, for me, like, I'm moving to New York City. I can walk
Uh-huh.
from one part of Brooklyn to another part of Brooklyn, which is like, a lot of exercise.
Yeah.
I could go to the Brooklyn YMCA and swim laps.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
No, you'd
also
be
like basically because if I swim enough laps, it's basically across Lake Michigan. And you just account for the waves by
sure.
swimming more laps, right?
Hmm.
And I've also
Well, you
boogie
do it.
boarded as a kid, so I know how to handle waves.
Shit, I think you're up for this
Yeah, like
challenge.
fucking
I don't
bring
know
it on,
what.
Dryer. You can call me Drew Wetter. That's gonna be my new name
Right.
now that I'm a divorcee. I gotta change my last name.
Maybe that's the secret. It's the last name. Yeah, instead of dryer, if it's wetter or something.
That's true. I mean, it would cause problems in his day-to-day life, I would imagine. But
Yeah.
in the water, he'd be invincible.
Yep. All right. That was fun.
That was fun.
On to the yeah.
Spending
I
time
mean,
talking about these wacky stories with your buddies is fun, isn't it?
it is fun.
If
I
you're
do
listening to
like
this podcast with a friend, why don't you guys take times to hold hands and French kiss?
yeah. Yeah, go ahead and pause us
Actually, I'm
for
sorry,
what,
freedom kiss. They didn't. I'm
15,
not
20
forgetting about
minutes.
Iraq.
Yeah. Yeah, but we'll just sit in silence while you do that. Now I do really like these stories of like people trying to accomplish something that like I don't know.
They
It
clearly
is a little
can't,
dumb or makes no sense.
because it's
Like
really
how
cool
bored
when
are we as
people
a
succeed.
species?
It's really cool when people succeed, but you just know that if you fail, everyone's gonna be like, "What an abject fucking idiot."
I don't think if it's something like this, I don't think so because
Not
no
as
one's gonna
much. This
know.
one's better. And it's
Like
the
if
fact that he has done it.
right, like if you're, I don't know, like I don't think he does this anymore, but like David Blaine would do, you're gonna I'm gonna get buried in ice or whatever, and it'd be on TV. Like, yeah, he'd look like a fucking idiot if he couldn't pull it off.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you or I decided one day, like, I don't know, you know what? I'm gonna unicycle from
Like let's
New
say you
York City to
let's say you had
Chicago.
like a
Like,
let's say you had like a weird couple of weeks for some reason and you're like so all of a
right,
sudden twerking for strangers in weird Discord servers just to feel something, right? Like at that point people are gonna be like, "Oh, that's cool and awesome," and not like a low point.
right, right. Yeah, I don't know. I just get a kick out of those stories. But our next story brings us back to the paranormal
Oh, nice.
you usually talk about. This comes to us from the New York Post by Asia Grace.
Asia,
Headline
Grace.
Asia.
Favorite
Yeah.
continent mixed with
Mm-hmm.
my I don't know where I'd rank Grace on my list of nouns. A lot of nouns.
Oh,
Probably
I was thinking.
above.
I was thinking of it as like a virtue.
Oh, virtues. How would I
Right.
rank
Like Grace
Grace
said,
as a virtue?
right. So like what
Below
courage and
compassion.
generous. Yeah.
I'd rank it below compassion, but above. Hmm. I think, but above temperance.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of those old timey ones we don't have anymore.
I think temperance
That's
is a good
temperance.
virtue. You know,
Isn't that
you know,
not isn't that not
breaking
drinking?
breaking my unhinged character again for a minute. I wake up at 7 a.m. or earlier every single morning.
Mhm.
That's being temperate. Early, get up early, and it's good for your
Ah,
mental health and your physical health.
all right. Good to know.
That's why I only masturbate during 3/4 of my work meetings too, because like
Mhm.
it's called moderation.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
And
you
only
you
during
stop. You don't finish.
and
I mean, at
only
least
during
yeah.
well, yeah, I only finish during, let's just say, some of the podcast episodes we record. And
Right.
I don't,
We'll leave it
it doesn't matter which ones. Anyway, sorry, continue.
right. Yeah, we'll leave it to the listener to go back and re-listen and try to guess. Go ahead and send us an email.
Yeah, no, because there's no way you could. Sorry, there's no way you could guess.
We'll send you shit. I'll send you a prize.
I have some. You know what's good about my current situation for real? I no longer have in-laws that listen to the podcasts.
So dad already like knows what to expect, and
Yeah, my
so you
dad
don't
is
really have anyone to like worry about.
if my dad hears something that goes too far in this podcast, if it's not related to our family, what's going to happen is he'll quietly stop listening to the show for a bit, and he will never mention it to me ever again. But at this point, yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know, I think I'm okay.
All right.
I don't have to worry about it as much because he can't like disown me. He's realistically not going to write me out of the will for anything I say on the podcast. Yeah. Give me another few years when the podcast gets more popular and, I have to appease, our demographic.
Or 4 or 5 more of those tequilas, then we'll see.
Yeah, for real.
All right. Again, New York Post headline: I own the world's most haunted doll. She left my back burning with scratches.
Oh man. So can I say something to the world's most haunted doll?
Go for it.
My name's Andrew Michaels. I'm newly single and I'm living in New York City. Now I'm actually living in Brooklyn. So if you want to like leave anyone's back burning with scratches who like might enjoy that, yeah.
Sure. Go ahead and hit you up.
Yeah.
Uh,
Underworld News
yeah.
Tonight at gmail.com. I'm the one who checks the email.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not allowed to anymore. Not since the last haunted doll emailed us.
Not since you saw Robert the Haunted Doll's dick.
What about? Although she looks very demure, the world's most haunted doll, an antique toy believed to be possessed by a jilted bride named Elizabeth, has allegedly scratched, yanked, and attacked 17 fellas in fits of furious fury.
And this was named Elizabeth, not Elizabeth, right? Like the old timey Elizabeth.
No, Elizabeth. Sorry,
Elizabeth. Okay, oh, you're just doing because sometimes you do see Elizabeth.
Lord.
Yeah, well, it pisses me off when you see Elizabeth.
No, you're right. Yeah,
it's like because you see it sometimes, and I'm like, if you don't know the first letter of a name, pick a different
one.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, though. So
yeah, feels a little lazy. Yeah. Yeah. Seems like the doll has a hatred towards men. Paranormal investigator Lee Steer, 37, from the UK, told Kennedy News. The spook seeker who purchased the doll for nearly $1,000 on eBay recently fell victim to the toy's terrorism, claiming he was left with severe scratches to his back while in the quote bridal doll room of his museum.
Okay.
So this guy's a collector.
Yeah. So
please.
I think that I guess here's my question, right? Because like adults had like creepy dolls back in the day. Now creepy dolls are less popular on account of them haunting all those. So like in the future, are there going to be haunted husband Funko Pops?
That's an excellent question.
Like this is a genuine question because like I think these haunted dolls make sense because at first, number one, a lot of kids died back in the day. Kids die a lot less now. Pros and honestly cons if you've ever been on an overnight flight. But like as far as like dying adults, right? Obviously adults die at whatever rate for whatever reason. I think now they have different stuffed animals. The creepy dolls that people have are coming pre-haunted.
Yes.
Or if you bought a doll that isn't haunted, wanting it to be haunted, it's not going to get haunted. Now, in theory, I don't think that you can haunt an electronic device because we haven't seen really a haunted Xbox or a haunted Nintendo yet.
No, I had much the same thoughts when I read this because we've talked about haunted dolls before.
Oh yeah, totally.
They're like a fascinating, paranormal genre in of themselves, but
yeah, and some of them might want to scratch my back until it's like burning, which like I'd like to feel something from a woman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we don't. we don't make creepy toys
We do,
as
but they're
much anymore.
intentionally creepy, and that's not the same thing. There's something to something being unintentionally creepy. And I will say too, a lot of
Right.
haunted dolls are so creepy now because they have rot, right? Like because the
Oh yeah,
eyes
they're
are
yeah,
more
right.
like
They're broken.
yeah, like they didn't originally look like that, but they didn't originally look great either. But things like, the classic black doll's eyes, that doesn't exist anymore. You see those in a teddy
No,
bear now, and that's fine.
right.
I
Because you
don't think
sort
I
of
had a
expect
single. I'm sorry, what?
you you sort of expect a bear to be like soulless, a
No,
soulless killing machine.
I'm gonna be dead ass, and this is not a joke. Do you know what the creepiest fucking toy I had as a kid was? And it's
Mm,
not even really a toy, and it wasn't
mhm,
intentional. It was not
mhm.
any actual toy. It was not a doll. It was a Carlos Beltran bobblehead that I got at Shea Stadium. And the
Yeah.
grin was such that I think the way the head would move, it would sometimes look like the grin was widening. And I was a very superstitious kid. And I was been 11,
Oh
10 or
man.
11 years old, but like eventually I did like put it in a closet. I was like, I do not want to look at this thing when I'm going to sleep anymore. I had a Mickey Mantle bobblehead, and that didn't creep me out. And he was the one who was actually dead. If
No,
you're a
that
Mets
that
fan,
does
you
sound
wish
creepy. I
Carlos
think that was
Beltran
fun.
was eventually, but you know.
Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know. And there's like, well, I'll keep going with the story, and then I'll share some thoughts. But uh, yeah. So this guy's a collector, apparently,
Oh,
which cool. I guess.
yeah. I have a comic book collection.
Is it haunted?
No.
Mm.
It haunts
See, but
me
that's
because
a.
I feel like I either need to get rid of it or expand it, and I can't just let it
Mhm.
sit, but I should be content with the fact that I'm like happy that collecting was a part of my life and is not really as much a part of my life anymore.
No, I
I
understand.
shouldn't feel
Yeah.
the need to either get rid
Mhm.
of it or expand. This is not for the podcast
No, no,
necessarily,
no,
but I'm
no,
trying to like redefine my relationship to my comic book collection because I don't feel the need to
no.
collect or
But I
expand it
have.
anymore. But like I don't
Uh,
feel the need to get rid of it either, But I kind of feel like
no,
I
no,
should have one or the other.
no, no. I understand. Maybe it's just something like as you approach middle age and sort of rethink about stuff. But like, yeah, like it's okay to just have a few things, and it doesn't. I have one Funko Pop,
Yeah, well,
and that's
for me, it's less
plenty.
about that. Like, I've
Like,
always been fine with that. I've always been fine with that. And we do have to switch Zoom links after that, just giving our audience a peek
I
behind the
know.
curtain. But like for me, here's what it's about. Here's what it's about. Like collecting comics from about 2021 to 2023. That was kind of my COVID hub, right? That was my like
Yeah.
late COVID hub. Like
Mhm.
like and I got a bunch of comics briefly. I got into like the Green Arrow and stuff like that. I still
Yeah.
like reading
Mhm.
comics. I still have things I'll check in on. I'm more likely to just get a
Mhm.
trade for a storyline I like now, and I feel less
Mhm.
interested in like collecting something unless it's like an indie thing that I know somebody who worked on.
Sure. Sure.
But I have these long boxes full of comics,
Yeah.
and I don't
Mhm.
necessarily like. I don't feel the need to like sell a bunch of them, right? And part of me is like,
Sure.
maybe I should just
Yeah.
sell a bunch of
Mhm.
these comics or whatever. And then part of me is like, well, if I'm not doing that, maybe I should be expanding the collection. Where when I think what I need to do
Mhm.
is be content with the fact that this was a part of
Mhm.
my life that isn't a part of my life anymore. And
Yeah.
I don't need to like, I don't need either of those things. I could just have it in its little area. And when
Mhm.
people see it, they're like, yeah, I used to collect
Mhm.
comics. I still sometimes get a
Yeah.
comic and I'll put it in the box, but it's not like that big a part of my
Mhm.
life.
No, I'm the same way with guitar pedals. The same
Yeah.
thing, COVID hobby, and I have too many for my ability or need, uh, but not enough that it would be anyone would consider it a collection,
Yeah,
right?
I have about
And
two
I'm
like long
fine with
boxes
it.
full of
Like,
comics. I don't know if you know like how big a
yeah,
long box is.
yeah, yeah, I do. Well, I used to have some. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I have two long, which I feel
I
like
had a
is
small
not like
collection.
it's not quite what you would call like a collection,
No,
but
no,
it's what you would call like a starter collection kind of.
yeah,
And I'm willing
mhm,
to. I think now I'm willing to expand it, but it's like it's much more on my terms, and it's much more like something. It's I don't. It's not as like compulsive, and it's not as like, oh, I found a Green Arrow thing, I need to add it.
right,
It's like
right, mhm,
I think if I find something that would have a genuine emotional value to me, I would get it, whether
mhm,
it's related to a character I like or like something I know someone who worked on. Because now I know a lot of people, I know people in the arts, and it's like cool
yeah,
to be
who
able to
do
get
that?
their projects, especially
Mhm,
people I know in the comics industry. Shout out to my friend Quinn Kahneman, who is an excellent writer and artist.
mhm,
Anyway, Jason, we should continue the story in a minute because we have to switch Zoom links. If you're in the audience,
yeah,
you're going to hear basically nothing maybe me editing this out,
Seamless.
but you're catching me at a weird time in my
Seamless.
life, so I might actually forget to edit this out.
Who knows?
All right.
You should be.
Wow, what wild times we just had. I sure hope I didn't forget to record anything, because I remember us taking a break, right?
Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah.
I
So
just forgot to record. Guess you should continue in the middle of that story we were talking about before I talk about my comic book collection or whatever the fuck.
yeah. Yeah. Jumping back in. So again, collector, spooky doll, scratches his back. He says, "Quote: People say it hates married men and goes around
Oh,
scratching
I'm
married
good.
men," said Steer.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So it loves
I sus-
unmarried men. What if an
uh-huh.
unmarried man wanted to be loved by the haunted doll, possessed by a body of an adult? Can I just clarify before I keep making this joke?
The doll, yes, the doll is it's actually looks like a doll.
It looks like an adult? Fuck yeah, I was
Yes,
worried.
like a Vic no, like a Victorian era woman.
Oh, fuck yeah, that's the hottest kind, because you don't know what's under the 19
Either
years of petty.
act, let's say actually I'll have to remember to put this on our social medias. Either a Victorian era doll or like a 1980s dynasty. Like this weird, I don't know.
Either one is, trust me, either one is good with.
It's a very
It's the deep
severe, like
scratching that I'm really looking for.
that's right that you're fishing for. Yes, it's a very like severe, stern looking doll. And Steer suspects it must be the most haunted doll in the UK.
Man,
Um,
no, it's not.
I don't
Unironically.
know.
All right, so here's the thing. Unironically, all right, so I'm joking
Mhm,
about being turned on by the idea of like the scratching thing, right? But
sure.
cards on the table, I'm like quote unquote joking about it a little bit, you know? Uh
Mhm,
I just think if it can have that effect, it's not the most haunted
mhm,
doll in the UK. Because the most haunted doll in the UK is like you look at it and it gives you cancer. And I wouldn't be like, oh,
right.
fuck yeah, give me cancer, babe. Right.
Right.
So, like, I
Right.
just think, different strokes for different folks, I guess. But, like, let's dial it back.
Right. So I just want to make sure I understand your argument here. So since this doesn't check the box for your fetish, it can't be the most haunted.
Because it does check the box
Oh,
for one
gotcha,
of my.
gotcha,
I just want to clarify. It checks the
gotcha.
box for one of my fetishes. Because
Mhm,
of that,
mhm.
it's not that haunted compared to dolls that
Yeah,
give you cancer by looking at them. But I
right,
unironically think
right.
that because
No,
I'm sure
but
there's some
yeah.
people, yes, I'm sure there's some
Mhm.
people whose fetish is like, kill me now. And we don't need to unpack that today by any stretch of
No,
the
no, that's
imagination.
not.
Sure,
No,
either of us are
not
quite,
it.
you're probably more equipped
Beyond
than
our
me.
scope.
Either of us are.
Beyond
Uh,
our scope. Yeah.
however, it's probably a lot less common than what I'm talking about. Can we agree on that?
I think that's fair.
And
Yeah. Hmm.
therefore, right? Like,
Hmm.
it would seem to me that the reason for that is that this is not that haunted. Maybe this is what her
No.
husband liked in her life, right? And now she's just
Right.
seeing
And
this
so
married man and is
it's
like,
just like,
this is what you guys
here,
like,
baby.
right?
Yeah. Right.
Man, the pegging Funko Pop is going to be unreal in 2071. The April O'Neil Funko Pop that pegs you, holy shit! I'm excited. Wish I was born now that I would be haunted by that
Right.
doll then.
Yeah, I was going to ask, when do you think the Funko Pops? It's been what, decade longer? They should be. We should be getting to the point
Ancient
where
Sumeria.
there should be. Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Funko Pop in
Well, there's
Funko Pop in Ancient Sumerian. You know what it means?
right. No.
It means place to hide fentanyl in the heads. Is that good? I
Yeah.
literally
And,
I thought
and
of like I thought of the joke, and I do a thing sometimes in this podcast, and I think I do it every 4 to 5 episodes, where I think of a joke and I think I'll think of the end of that joke when I get home.
uh-huh.
But the thing is,
Yeah.
It's actually, especially if you're a fast talker, you have to talk unnaturally slowly to get there. And
Right.
sometimes you don't get there. Usually you don't get there. But I got there this
Mhm.
time. Good for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, good for you. If that's your version of swimming across Lake Michigan,
That's exactly.
you
Exactly.
just jump in and it'll go somewhere. Um, yeah. So, like, we have to be getting about there's got to be haunted Funko Pops floating around by now, right? Because people, I think also like collectability, like the whatever object it is has to be traded around a lot,
That's true. And
right?
people are throwing out the Funko Pops. Usually.
But
There's
there's not
there's
like
got
a
to be
big
haunted Beanie
secondary
Babies.
market.
There's got to be haunted Beanie Babies. There's got to be haunted baseball cards, haunted football cards. It's probably haunted Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah.
You don't hear about
Yeah.
haunted comics, but the reason for that is that you put your comic in the glass coffin. So realistically, like any really old comics
Right.
you are,
It's
like
not.
I have some old comics that I need to put in the coffin. All my comics are in the
Mhm.
condom, but not all of them. But some of them need to be in the coffin too.
Okay.
So I know I don't need to give up the collection.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What about
I'm
80s
sure that.
toys? Do you hear about haunted 80s toys? Do you hear about haunted GI Joes, haunted Ninja Turtles? Because I mean, your generation, a lot of them are croaking.
Yeah.
Not to be morbid. I'd like to
No.
inherit
No.
the other half of the podcast. I think I am your next of kin.
You're right. But then who takes over your spot?
Me.
Or
It'll
do you
be
just do
Monday.
both? You just run back
I
and
get
forth.
both, so it's my podcast.
Mhm.
I I don't know who I would hire as the co-host. I'm thinking I don't know if I could get him. Probably not. Maybe.
I swear to God, if
Maybe
you
it's
say
against your
Gerald Fogle,
legacy. Maybe
Jared
it's
Fogle.
against your legacy. No, it's not Jared Fogle. It's not Jared Fogle. Is Bill O'Reilly available?
Yeah, I think he just made a public appearance,
And where?
like with Jon Stewart or something.
Oh, did he?
I don't know. I didn't watch it, but
Yeah, because imagine it was like
um,
me, my wacky antics, and then Bill O'Reilly
right,
there,
and
and he
him,
would say
yeah,
things like, here's my Bill O'Reilly impression. Let me know if this is
mhm,
good.
okay,
I'm Bill O'Reilly. I don't like this very much because I like Bob Dole and ice cream and sexual harassment. I don't like your
perfect.
antics, Andrew
Mhm.
Michaels.
Yeah, nailed it, 100%.
My
Uh,
grandma made me read Kids Are Americans Too when I was 12, so I think
was that a Bill O'Reilly book?
that is Bill O'Reilly's book. It's about how kids are Americans too. But it was written
Okay,
for Gen X, and I'm the last year of being a millennial, so it was like deeply
mhm.
not relevant. It was
Yeah,
about how like when you're a kid, when you're a teenager, you watch the show. I was also 9. When you're a teenager, you watch, or it's like 9 to 12 or something like that. And you're a teenager, you watch the show Friends. But guess what, Jason?
Hmm.
That's not how friends should act.
No,
In retrospect, I think they were actually very close knit friends. I don't think they actually hurt each other that much beyond a few high drama episodes.
yeah. Well, they
They
kind of paired
tolerated some
off.
toxic dynamics within the group, but I think that
Yeah,
happens in most friendships, especially at that
I think
time.
yeah, sure. Um,
Anyway,
no,
let's
but
continue. Don't we have a podcast to
yeah.
record?
To answer your question, as far as 80s toys, I think that the difference they're uh, they're just not around. Like we didn't know to collect them, so we had our action figures, and then they would get blown up by cherry bombs or left in the woods or like just
Yeah.
thrown away, sold at a garage sale. Like I
Can I
feel
ask
like
maybe a personal question, Jason? And let me know if I'm going too far. I'll
oh,
edit. You know, I always remember to edit things
sure,
out of the podcast. I'm supposed to.
sure,
Um,
please.
do you ever
Is it my
fuck with
butt
your
plug
action
collection?
figures?
Said I was more of a like GI Joe, and they're very small. They're about penis size. So
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, do you ever like, I don't know, like let's say cut the legs off, hollow out the body, oil it up with some Crisco?
no,
That was a really long pause.
well, I was trying to think of what action figures it was. Um, no, but I think that like legit, I think that there could be, but they don't exist because said like it got thrown out. And plus, those things like you don't really keep. As I got older, the handful of action figures I had like didn't stay in like a prominent place in my room, so they ended up getting kind of stored away. Am I making any sense?
Do you think a toy? Sorry, I mean to interrupt. I have a lot of
Huh.
curiosity about haunted toy law. A toy that's the
Yeah.
likeness of a real life person, and not in
Okay.
necessarily a movie. I'm thinking specifically about wrestling action figures because my cousin Brian,
Sure.
bunch of them. They must be somewhere in the
Mhm.
family now because he had a really solid collection of like 90s WWE, WCW
Mhm.
action figures.
Mhm.
And I don't think that I would worry about those being haunted, not just the ones by the wrestlers that are still alive, but also by the wrestlers that are dead. Because I don't think any of those
Mhm.
wrestlers were like, I'm going to haunt Brian from Staten Island's toy of me, right?
Right. Right. No, that
Like,
makes sense.
yeah, like I think with a movie character, it's more broad. Like, I don't think that the life of Mark Hamill would protect a Luke Skywalker toy from getting haunted. Um,
Yeah.
but I think that
Yeah, I
like
don't know.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson being alive, I think that you're unlikely
Right.
to see the Rock action figure get haunted. But
Mhm.
he always plays himself in movies, so I think he's a weird case. I'm trying to think of a wrestler who can actually act, who's been in enough movies. I know Dave Bautista can act, but he's relative.
Uh, I was gonna say, yeah, there are action figures of him,
Yeah, well, no, but I'm saying
right?
like
There has to be.
of his movie characters that are
Mhm.
old enough to be haunted. Maybe his Guardians of
That's
the
true.
Galaxy character, because that's a 10-year-old movie. A kid could have had cancer and had that action figure.
Leukemia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say there's probably a kid.
St.
I would
Jude kid.
imagine that there is a kid with leukemia haunting a toy of Dave Bautista as Drax or whatever his name is in Guardians of the Galaxy. I think
I
it's
think that's
Drax,
right.
right?
Tracks.
And
I
I
think
do
so.
like
Yeah.
those movies. I just haven't watched them in a while. In the
But
same way
yeah, I
that
don't.
I'm terrible with like character names. In the same way that like there's probably a Luke Skywalker toy also haunted by a different kid with leukemia. Probably a
Mhm.
bunch of those. But
Yeah.
I would
Right.
imagine there are very few haunted Hulk Hogan toys.
Man, I would hope not.
Man,
That would suck. Wait, the you know
and I know
what?
wrestlers are characters.
Yeah. Have you seen any of the Child's Play movies? I feel like that. I don't
Yeah, I've seen the
remember them well
child.
enough to
I've
know
seen Child's Play 1. I think that's the only one I've
where.
seen.
How did he get? Where did his animating spirit come from?
I think it was a guy, it was a serial killer who got executed. I don't know why he went into that toy because it was actually, I think, a new
Okay.
toy. I think it had to do with voodoo. I was really high when I watched that movie.
Okay.
And I was
Yeah, I
also really
cannot.
drunk when I watched that movie. And I also
Mhm.
had food poisoning when I watched that movie. I had all three at the same time.
Yeah.
Literally the
Yeah.
trifecta. This is not a joke. So
Yeah.
for real, I can't tell you that many plot
Have no
details.
memory, no recollection.
Um,
Yeah. That
but
I think.
I
Yeah,
might
that's
not
my
have
only
watched the
like.
movie.
Right.
Like straight up, I might
maybe,
not have even actually
maybe it
watched the
happened.
movie. It might have been sleep paralysis. But
Maybe there really was a like possessed doll running around
and
in
you
the
know why I
room, and
think
you
there's no haunted
couldn't
Mr.
do
Potato
anything.
Heads? Because Mr.
What's that?
Potato Head in the 50s, this is actually true, was just like a bunch of parts
Yeah,
you
it
put
was a
in a potato.
potato. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
obviously people aren't keeping the parts. And like I'm not afraid of eyes. Like I mean, like, eyes are scary, but like I'm not afraid of eyes if I know the source and it's just plastic eyes that can't do shit, right?
Right.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not like any of the parts when you realize they're alone, you're like, okay, I'm not that worried about it. And the hands are very inflexible. That potato, guess
Not
what? That
useless.
got
Yeah.
eaten, right? It
It's
wasn't
gone.
until the
Mhm.
90s that was a plastic toy. And
Yeah.
even if you are a
Well, 80s, yeah.
3-year-old, even if you're a
Mhm.
3-year-old, because I had a Mr. Potato Head as a 3-year-old, Mr.
Mhm.
Potato Head was always my shittiest toy. When I was 5, he
Yes.
was briefly
Uh-huh.
not my shittiest toy. When I realized you store the parts in his butt, that was really funny.
That was
However,
fun. Yeah. Uh-huh.
however, the
Mhm.
novelty wears off, right? I truly think every single toy I ever
Mhm.
had, including the fucking Slinky, including the toy that you threw down the
Mhm.
stairs once and then fucked up, was better than Mr. Potato.
Yeah.
Dad, I know you listen to the
No.
show. I've seen that my 6-year-old brother does not have a Mr. Potato Head, and I wanted to congratulate you because that's such a garbage toy. That's like a literal trash toy.
Mhm. No, I think you're right. Yeah, because
It
it's like,
shouldn't be
yeah,
around.
there's only so much you can do, and it's the wrong scale
I
for
could
to like
play The
play with other
Sims and give
toys.
my guy however the fuck I want before I even buy
Mhm.
expansion. And the entire thing is to buy expansions, right? And I can play
Yeah.
Sims
Right.
2 with like one expansion and I'm golden, right?
Mhm.
So you're
Mhm.
fucking telling me that you know, if I play fucking like I get this toy, what? I get to put in eyes. What's the other option? It doesn't have eyes. Wow. Great
Right,
fucking creativity. I could choose
right.
I could make a fully fledged living potato, or I could make a third degree burn victim. Thanks, Mr. Potato Head.
You're right. Right. It could look surprised or sleepy. Those are my two eye options.
Oh my God.
No, you're right. That toy fucking
How much would it
sucked.
cost us to make a bunch of parts that you could put in a potato, do you think, as like a merch project?
I don't know, but that's a
A
great
lot to
idea.
do it
Figure
ethically.
that
Well,
out.
not with 3D printers. You don't even need a sweatshop to make
No,
it.
right. Yeah.
I mean,
No,
I
we
do because
could.
I like to keep kids off the street, so I'd like to like try to employ
Mhm.
some kids making them, but like we could in
Right.
theory 3D print them if like, you know, we're concerned about being
Mhm.
canceled or whatever.
Yeah. um, man, where the hell was I at? Oh, okay. Uh, yeah. So the doll, for some reason, this article then goes on a little bit of a diversion about places in like some haunted places. I think maybe the writer had to reach word limit because it talks about like Jimi Hendrix's studio being haunted, which is mildly
He's not,
interesting, but
no, he doesn't
also
need
has
to
nothing
haunt
to do
shit.
with.
He gets into the cool part of
No, no,
there's
no,
a
it's not
part,
him. It's not him. That's that they're not saying he's haunting it. They're saying the studio has been haunted.
oh
Like,
wow, whoop-de fucking do.
right.
Whatever. And you know what else I'll say too? I guess now you brought up Jimi Hendrix. This might be a controversial take about the afterlife, but what the hell? I did pour
Uh-huh.
another tequila on our break. Um, you know how people say like fame won't matter when you die, especially like evangelical Christians say that and stuff like that, right? I feel like
Mhm.
there is probably, if there is a heaven, there is probably a part of heaven that's like cool guy heaven. That's for the cool, like famous people that a lot of people are going to want to hang out with when they die. That like,
Mhm.
unless you're a real piece of shit, like unless you're like a Jimmy Savile or something, like they
Mhm.
will kind of like gloss over a lot of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think Jimi
Yeah.
Hendrix is that bad, but like Jim Morrison, not necessarily a guy who should go to heaven, right? But I feel like a lot of boomers who are not bad guys want to
Mhm.
meet Jim Morrison real bad, that they probably let him in and like, you know, on like a trial membership or something.
Sure. Sure. So like keep it together, Jim.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. Is that a crazy thought? Probably. It's actually very logical
No,
though, right?
it
If I
does.
was
Yeah, no,
if I
sure.
was God, if I was God, right?
Mhm.
I would say, okay, like obviously there are guys that people think are cool, especially guys like before recorded, like before
Mhm.
things like more and more aspects of people's day-to-days were recorded. That
Mhm.
like we can't have in here, right? There are some real
Mhm.
bad guys we can't have in here. There are some
Okay.
guys who like I shouldn't let in here, and if I'm to apply the rules fairly, I shouldn't let in here. They should be in like purgatory or whatever the fuck, right? Like maybe not full on hell. However,
Right.
right? Like,
Mhm.
you know, a lot of people want to meet Jim Morrison. A lot of people want to meet Marilyn Monroe. A lot of people want to meet, I guess Marilyn
Mhm.
Monroe probably didn't do anything bad. Well, she probably did some like normal human things bad, but
Well,
she
right,
had it
right.
rough.
Yeah.
I'm
I
trying to
don't
think
think
of a lady who died who doesn't deserve to be in heaven, but I feel like I'm just gonna get canceled if I
uh,
think of one. 'Cause
Leona Hemsley, was she dead?
who's that?
She was kind of I'm probably getting this all wrong. Kind of the female equivalent of Trump in the 80s. Like
That's
she
too
was a
bad.
hotel heiress.
Oh,
No, but she
so
got
no, no,
like
no, oh, in the
got
80s.
caught up in all kinds of yeah,
But she wasn't
shady
like a right
shit,
wing,
was like
like
gross and no. Not in that way, but
you know what? The lady who
like a
founded
quasi
Auntie Anne's
corrupt
Pretzels.
real
The lady who
estate.
founded Auntie Anne's
Okay.
Pretzels, because for sure she had to do some
Okay.
bad shit to have that many stores, right? Auntie Anne.
Sure.
I
Okay.
know that Auntie Anne actually, I do know a little bit about her story, and she went through some crazy shit that was very difficult. But also, you got to do some bad shit to start to start that many stores. So I'll say Auntie Anne,
Sure.
right?
Mhm.
Um, Jim
You have to
Morrison,
suffer for your art. Yeah,
Auntie
Jim
Anne,
Morrison.
uh,
Mhm.
John Belushi, John Lennon.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I'm not. I realize that at least one to two of these guys did beat their wives, which specifically I'm not condoning and saying can be overlooked. However, I can imagine that God allows a cool guy heaven, maybe like day passes, maybe like split custody or something, so that like boomers get to see
Sure.
these people.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's a interesting digression. Again, I don't even know why they put this in the article about a doll, but
Yeah, I can't believe they wrote that. That's like a little weird post.
Yeah. Um. Now I lost my place. Oh, Steer. The doll owner says you don't even have to be by yourself. He was doing an investigation, had a burning sensation on his neck. He was there with two other people. They saw the marks. Um, yeah, again, hatred towards men.
And that is the only explanation for getting a bunch of deep scratches on your back with a room of two other
Yeah,
people who you just
yeah. No, baby. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep. Steer's colleague, a buddy of his, had the same experience while filming a TikTok live while on a date with his girlfriend there. It's the UK, they do whatever. Yeah, said he felt his shirt lift up, felt burning, and had scratches all down his back.
Man, that is rough. And again,
Mm-hmm.
I'm only saying this because we're experienced paranormal investigators. But if anybody needs me to take this doll off their hands, I am moving to Brooklyn really soon. Just let us know.
Mm-hmm.
Underworld News Tonight at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Also, if you have a haunted butt plug, maybe.
Yeah. There's got to be those.
Yeah, there has to be. There
Uh,
unironically does have to be haunted butt plugs, right? Because, like, I imagine,
absolutely.
yeah, we don't need to go into how it happens, but it happens.
No, it happens. Yeah. Um, yeah, this dude's also, he's got some items like from The Conjuring. You know, I think we've talked about those people a little bit in the past, and it ends with kind of a funny that dude says you know, he wasn't scared, but he's just unnerved, and now doesn't walk into the room with the doll anymore.
Oh man, that's
So
crazy. So he must need someone to like clean the room or like, like check on it or something.
mhm,
So that's the other thing.
yeah,
He might actually need to
another
care for the
in.
doll. But if he just needs
Mhm,
someone to check on it for like a daily basis, and like
mhm,
obviously, like especially don't go in there if you hear like moaning or anything, like from me, because
sure.
like it's really in a scratching mood and I can handle it. But like I wouldn't want
Right.
this guy to be
Yeah. No one
subjected,
else could. Yeah.
obviously. Yeah.
No. Yeah. No. That's very brave of you. Very very courageous and strong to make this offer for him. But yeah, to your point, most haunted doll, man, I don't know. That seems like a pretty bold claim for the
For the UK, there's no fucking
for
way.
the
Because again,
level of
once again,
right,
I do think if you
right.
survive, no, it's not. A lot of like there are dolls that give you cancer, I think. And again, you know, the
Well,
fact that
almost
I want
certainly.
to be
Like
around this doll, I think does count for something. Because there are haunted dolls that a lot fewer people are going to be turned on by.
right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'll keep my. You brought up some good points though. I'll keep our eyes open for stories of haunted toys more generally. I'm going
Yeah.
to do some research. Now I'm curious
Yeah, I think
because
that a
yeah,
toy needs to
why
be
is it dolls?
I think it
Yeah,
needs to be anthropomorphized, but
yes,
it can't be too specific. And if
no,
it's
no, no.
tieable to a specific person, it needs to be a film character they played. It needs to be a film character that's so iconic that it transcends the performer. I think the characters
Right.
that I can think of are Luke Skywalker,
Uh-huh.
certain James
Uh
Bonds, maybe Indiana Jones. Um, I'd say that you could
yeah.
probably I'd say you'll probably see Haunted Power Rangers at some point because those are so
Hmm.
interchangeable. But you'll never see a haunted wrestling toy. I don't think you're ever going to see a haunted wrestling toy. I think that you might actually, I take it back. You might end up seeing haunted wrestling toys when they re-released, like when some of these legacy ones become like multi-generational. So right now you'll see like legacy toys of dead wrestlers. I think when it
Oh
becomes
yeah.
less
Uh-huh.
like a dead guy from the 90s and more like a Babe Ruth bobblehead,
An
I think you'll start to
icon.
see that. Yeah. When it becomes a true
Yeah.
icon of a guy
Uh-huh.
who died when your grandparents were kids, I think that those toys will start to get haunted again because like Babe Ruth was a background character in my childhood, right? Babe Ruth was not a
Yeah.
guy,
Uh-huh.
right? Babe
Right.
Ruth, like,
Right.
and Babe Ruth was a
Hmm.
guy, but Babe Ruth in my childhood was not a guy. And some of those
Right.
Babe
Like
Ruths could probably get haunted
It-
now by people for whom Babe Ruth is
yes,
not a guy.
yes, it was almost like a archetype,
Yeah, and
or you know what I mean,
Elvis.
like it was kind of a yeah, easily recognizable character, sort of portly,
Yeah,
with the stupid old timey uniform and the baseball bat. Like,
yeah. And once you
you
reach
knew
that
who that
status, you can
was,
be a
but
haunt.
yeah,
Your toy can be haunted again.
you could be a haunted doll. Yeah, and it has to be, like I said, there has to be some element of something about it that it gets passed around, right? Because it feels like that's where, like,
Yeah, no, for
because it
sure.
always
Like
comes
because you
from
can't.
someone else.
Well, yeah, by its nature, if nobody's died with the toy, it's not going to get haunted, right? Like, I mean, it's unlikely to. So, like,
Right. Yeah.
it has to be a family. So, I have. All right, this is like a little bit of sad family lore. There's a house on Staten Island that I used to call my grandma's house. My grandma is now in a nursing home, which is like actually good because, like, it's sadder when people who should be in nursing homes are
Yeah,
not.
you're right. Yeah.
Uh, it was shared by my grandma, my great uncle, and my great aunt. My great uncle is dead. Uh,
Mhm.
it's sad for my great aunt, not that sad for like society. My great aunt probably shouldn't be living in that house by herself because she is legitimately
Sure.
like the frailest woman I've ever seen. I would describe it as like if Stephen Hawking could walk. Uh,
All
like
right. Yeah.
but like nothing else changed, and
Right.
like, but when all three lived there, I stayed in a guest room, and the guest room was my cousin but like an old cousin, a cousin who is in his early 60s. It was his childhood room.
Hmm.
And there was a
Hmm.
bunch of like old Winnie the Pooh memorabilia there. A few
Oh,
stuffed
oh no.
animals, a Tigger clock, and
Yeah.
a few other things. I used to
Uh-huh.
love Tigger as a kid. Tigger was my favorite character. People
Hmm.
call me the Tigger of podcasting.
Yeah.
But nah, man, that shit's haunted.
Yeah.
Haunted. And
Yeah.
nobody died.
So I definitely
Nobody
get.
that I could
Yeah.
think of who came into contact with that at that time had died. Maybe my grandma's husband, my grandpa, but he would not have given a fuck about my his
Yeah. A little toy.
wife's
Yeah.
sister's kids Winnie the Pooh bullshit. He would not have had
Yeah.
any
Right.
cause to
He
haunt
wouldn't even
that
know what it
after
was. Yeah.
dying. You know what my grandpa would have haunted, and I'm only saying this because no one on my mom's side of the family listens to the podcast besides my older brother
Hmm.
who's gonna think this shit's hilarious. The only thing he would have haunted for real was his fucking one of his three mistresses' panties. Like, because that guy, to my mom's side, that guy was maybe a bottle of Jameson, but he knew that would be gone too
I did
quick.
not did not see that coming.
That
Very
guy was
good.
he was one of those guys who hung out with cops who wanted like the habits of being a cop, but not like the being.
Not the
It was too hard to
right.
be a failed gym teacher. So
Sure. All right.
anyway, continue. What were we talking about?
Uh, unless you have more, I was gonna move on to our
That's probably
third
for the
and
best.
yeah, probably final story today. Uh, this comes to us from HuffPost.
Nice.
It's
And for real,
all the advice and information you could possibly want about
don't
huffing.
guys. I'm gonna say off post. Stay away. All right. Again, this is like breaking character. Nitrous is making a comeback. Please stay
Yeah,
away, guys. Please stay
that's fucking
away.
wild.
Please
That's
stay
wild.
away from Galaxy Gas. If any legislators are
Oh my
listening,
god.
please ban Galaxy Gas because I promise you, I've never had fruit punch flavored whipped cream. I have never had key lime
Yeah.
flavored whipped cream. If you are a
Mm.
Costco manager or a Walmart manager, please do not sell Galaxy Gas, guys. Like, please, please. It is better.
Yeah.
It is unironically better to do meth than nitrous, I think, with the way it's being sold.
No, yeah, you're right. It's fucking crazy to me
That
that
that is the that is a drug
it's
that will
making a comeback.
literally
Like, are you
because
shitting
here's
me?
the thing. Any other drug that I can think of, like they will fuck you up and they will fuck you up permanently, but you can recover in ways that you cannot from nitrous. Nitrous will
Mhm.
actually leave you brain dead.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm giving this warning right now. I think it's because you said the word huff and I've been thinking about this subject ever since seeing a video of a guy huffing fucking Galaxy gas on TikTok. But we should get to the
Yeah.
story and then switch Zoom
Yep.
links
Yes.
because we
Yes.
have
Yes.
one more.
Yeah.
Like we have 10 more minutes because I'm wasting our time.
Yeah. All right. Oscar Mayer Weinermobile crashes
Yes.
along Chicago area highway.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I
yes,
don't know.
me and
We had,
Oscar both taken some L's lately.
that's right. Both in Illinois.
Exactly.
Uh,
Move to New York,
uh,
Oscar.
hot dog shaped vehicle hit a car Monday morning. Driver lost control, overcorrected, causing it to roll onto its side on I-294. Yeah.
You know what's got to be hard about that is like if you've driven in Illinois, right? Some of these roads are pretty remote. And I hope
Yes.
they weren't in a
Yeah.
remote
Uh-huh.
because as we've discussed, like if they had to go to the bathroom or something, it's not a weenie bagel. So they can't.
No,
So if they were
yeah.
stuck for a long time.
Right. Oak Brook, where it happened, hot dog shaped Weinermobile ended up flipped onto its side, hit a car Monday morning along Interstate 294, lost control. No injuries reported, thankfully.
Well,
But
how were the hot dogs? How were do
did
those
close the
count as
highway.
injuries?
Yeah, all the hot dogs were lost. No, I don't.
Are
It
you
doesn't say
fucking
anything
serious?
about
That's a tragedy.
no, it doesn't say. It doesn't say anything about
Because
hot dogs.
I would argue if that sort of a collision, which was caused by the Wienermobile, would cause hot dog damage, to a total loss of hot dogs. I guess if it flipped onto its side, it depends on the side, right? But I would argue that in that case, hot dogs from the Wienermobile wouldn't be protected enough from the elements. So, like, full disclosure, I will never get ice cream off of a truck, and I don't think anyone ever should. Because like
okay.
unless it's a really old truck, unless the guy who runs the truck is about to die and has been doing it since the 50s. I feel number one, it's always just like shit I could buy at the convenience store resold, unless it's a literal soft serve truck. And number two, I don't know what's going on in the truck. There is one ice cream truck I have ever brought it from. I will ever buy ice cream from as an adult. It's in Worcester, Massachusetts. I actually forget the name of the truck, but the guy who runs it, his name is Jerry, and he is 90 fucking years old. He's probably dead by now because I interviewed him at Worcester Magazine. I trust him.
Right.
Do not trust an ice cream man. Do not trust it. Trust an actual food truck because those stay still. But I wouldn't trust anything like a Wienermobile or an ice cream truck. I put those in the same category. That's the point of this digression.
That was going to be my question. Well, I don't think the Wienermobile moves. I think it's like it's similar to a food truck in that it sort of deploys. Like you go somewhere, stops, and then they do whatever. Like I don't think they even sell hot dogs out of it. The one that I saw, they had like a pop-up tent next to it. There wasn't like a window.
Okay.
Like a
so
food truck
they have a
just,
motorcade, and the motorcade carries the hot dogs.
I have to assume.
Do you think they have to offer the guy they crashed into a hot dog? They probably do, right? They have to be like, hey man, like, do you want? I think
that's only be common courtesy.
Yeah, like you have to.
Plus,
Do you think you could technically offer enough hot dogs to release yourself from liability? Like if you're like, do you want a hot dog? And then it's taking a while for emergency services to get here. So you offer them like 11,000 hot dogs, right? Technically,
I'm
you've
gonna
paid for
say,
damages.
yeah. I'm
My
gonna
stepmom's
say
a lawyer.
that
She could answer this.
I don't think that the Wienermobile could carry enough to make it worth someone's while, because if you got hit by the Wienermobile and what would we determine the name of the drug? They were what, dog heads, or they have a name. The
hot doggers.
drivers,
Hot doggers.
hot doggers. If you get run into by a hot dogger, like you're looking at the big Oscar Mayer bucks, right?
Speaking
Like
of
you
getting
want
run into
water.
by a hot dogger, by the way, I am single and bisexual, so I just want to throw that out there once again. But I think
Right.
Here's another thing. So you know how you said it's not like an ice cream truck? I did have an idea though. You know how ice cream trucks, they have like the ice cream truck music, right? And that's how you know there's an ice cream truck.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What if the
Speaking of
Wienermobile,
haunted,
so you know it's coming, right? You just play cow
Mhm.
slaughter noises when it goes
That's
from
right.
place to place. Just like cows screaming and like blood spurting noises.
Oh my God. That'd be awesome.
Occasional like people yelling in Spanish.
someone being maimed by the equipment there.
They give you a hot dog and it's like it's served on newsprint, but if you look close, like it like at an old pub, but if you look closer, it's like a page out of Upton Sinclair's The Jungle.
You know?
Oh man. All
Yeah,
right, we gotta switch
that's
Zooms.
pretty much
So
the
let's
story.
finish it. Oh, that is that the story?
Yeah,
All right, great.
that's pretty much it. Crash.
I think we can manage to close up in 4 minutes or less. Thank you guys so much for listening to Underworld News Tonight. That's if you don't know whatever the fuck you just listened to, guys. Like I said, I hope this was a fun episode. I had a lot of fun. You guys are genuinely catching me at a mentally weird time, so I do like want to break character for a minute and say like I'm really happy to get back to this. I'm not like I think that like if you haven't been through a divorce, it's something that happens when you reach a certain point. I'm not bitter about the period in my life in which I was married, but it's a hard thing to go through. So I'm glad to have something like this. Glad to have both Jason and all the people that listen to this here to get back to normal. Guys, you can also find me, Andrew Michaels Comedy, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. And you can follow the podcast, Underworld News Tonight, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Let's get to Jason, and then I will get to closing words.
Yeah.
Jason, where can people follow you?
I'm on Instagram at Jason V Strong. My drawings, I've got some new ones for the Squonkapalooza. I'm going to keep that going. And yeah, Squonkapalooza was a lot of fun, and I think we're going to plan on trying to do a couple events
A
in
year.
various cities.
Yeah. So some might say that things are already being discussed, but who would know? Unless you're the fucking NSA or one of us.
Yeah.
Or one of our friends we talk to about this stuff.
Yeah.
One of my
and we're yeah. And we have some plans in the works for podcasts, which will be exciting. And yeah, I just also want to express my support and love for Andrew, and I'm he's a good friend, and I'm very, very proud of him, proud to be a friend, and yeah, this podcast means a lot to me too. So
thank you, Jason. Making me tear up a little bit.
That was sorry. That was inarticulate.
No, you're making me a little emotional. I still gotta say my closing words. But what I'll say is this: I used to I liked this closing phrase. Then I hated this closing phrase. I've had a rough couple weeks, and I think I like this closing phrase again, guys. It is actually, honestly, all phantom time, but right now. So please, please, enjoy your life. Do something to better yourself. Think about like what you want out of life. And if you're not living the life you want, think about why that is, and think about what's in your control that you could do to make it that way. Even if it's not everything today, you can do a little bit, and then you can do a little more tomorrow, and so on and so forth. And that's how life happens.
And that's how you swim across Lake Michigan.
That's how you swim across Lake Michigan. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.